Does it? Have you ever met a woman who walks into a room and says nothing, yet shifts the entire energy with her presence? How snores it? She doesn't need to raise her voice. She doesn't compete. She doesn't chase attention. Her silence speaks louder than noise, because in her stillness lies her strength. In her quiet lies her clarity, and in her presence lies her wisdom. How snores it? Let me tell you something today that may change how you look at silence, especially when it comes to a woman who has mastered it. Does it? There is a kind of woman who doesn't explain herself anymore. She's not interested in proving her worth. How snores it? She knows who she is, and that's enough. She stopped over-explaining, oversharing, and overreacting, because she has learned silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is strength. Her house snores it. Let's talk about her, because she is not loud. She is louder than loud in a language the world isn't trained to hear. How snores it? That on shift so simple yet so powerful transforms a woman from reactive to the radiant. You see, how snores it? Most people spare energy trying to prove they are right. They raise their voices, sharpen their words, and engage in battle just to win opinions. But the wise woman, she has nothing to prove. She's not here to win arguments. Her house snores it. She's here to win peace. She has learned way that arguing doesn't often them always lead to understanding. In fact, the house snores it. More often, it leads to distance. So instead of getting caught in the heat of emotional words, she takes a step back. Not because she doesn't have something to say, not because she's afraid, snores it, but because she knows not that every situation deserves. Some things deserve silence. Some people deserve distance. Or a house snores it. Let me take you into a moment you might have experienced. Imagine someone attacks you with words. Does it? Maybe a coworker who feels threatened, or a family member who misjudged your intentions. House snores it. The old version of you might have fired back. You might have tried to defend your heart, your actions, your truth. But it always ended the same: exhaustion, overthinking, hurt. Now imagine a different version of you, a more centered, snores it, composed version. Someone throws a verbal storm your way, and instead of reacting, you observe. A house snores it. You choose silence not because you don't care, but because you care about peace more than your pride. A house this is what she has learned, that observation is power. When she observes instead of argues, she sees beyond the surface. How snores it? She sees the insecurity in someone's soul. She sees the pain behind someone's bitterness. The house snores it. She understands that most arguments are never truly about her, are reflections of the other person's inner world. The house snores it. And because she observes, she understands. And because she understands, she stays grounded. Does it? Her strength lies not in how loud she can be, but in how calm she chooses to remain. The houses. Have you ever watched someone stay absolutely still in the face of chaos? It's almost spiritual. Does it? It's like watching still water amidst a storm unshaken and touches it. That's what she becomes when she chooses observation over reaction. She becomes still water. Clear, deep, strong. The house knows it. This doesn't mean she doesn't feel. It doesn't mean she suppresses emotions or snozzes it. It simply means she channels them differently. When she hurt, she doesn't scream. She reflects the house, snores it. When she's misunderstood, she doesn't argue endlessly to be heard. She listens inwardly to what truly matters, snores it. And when she's falsely accused, she doesn't launch a war. She lets her character speak where her words fall short. But there's a silent dignity in choosing not to argue. A quiet elegance in knowing that some things just aren't worth your energy. How's it? She has understood that you don't to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to respond to every misunderstanding or a house snores it. You don't have to explain your soul to people committed to misunderstanding it. House snores it. And that observation is this ability to pause becomes her secret superpower. She notices the shift in someone's tone, does it? The contradiction in their story. The hidden meaning in their silence. She doesn't jump to conclusions. She patiently watches, reads between the lines, and discerns the truths that others often miss. In relationships, this makes her emotionally intelligent. In friendships, it makes her deeply empathetic. In leadership, her intuitively wise. People often mistake this kind of woman as detached or cold. But she's far from it. She feels everything deeply. She simply chooses to respond with wisdom, not with impulse. How's it? She chooses to protect you rather than proving her point. Because she's learned peace, she has learned peace. Peace is the real prize. Her house snores it. And peace never comes from winning arguments, it comes from walking away from what doesn't align with your growth. That is, snores it. So when she chooses to observe, she's not being passive. She's being powerful. She's gathering strength. Or is it? Choosing clarity over chaos, silence over noise, dignity over drama. And in that stillness, in that silence, Ning's very house snores it. In that sacred pause, she become unshakable. And maybe that's what we all need to practice a little more. To stop fighting be right and start choosing to be wise. To stop engaging with every opinion or peace and start protecting, observe, to reflect, to rise silently, gracefully, and wisely. Because in a world that rushes to speak, the one who pauses to observe will always stand tallest. Thus, snores it. There is something profoundly powerful about a woman who chooses silence, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Does it? She understands that not every situation needs her response. Not every emotion needs a reaction. The house snores it. And not every battle deserves her involvement. He knows that peace, your treasure, and silence is the gate that guards it. But we live in a world where people are constantly reacting, scrolling, commenting, arguing, proving, defending. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, validated. But she has discovered a different path, a quieter one, a wiser one. How does it? She's come to understand that when you silence the noise outside, you can finally hear the truth inside. And for her, that truth is sacred. There was a time when she used to respond to everything. When someone disrespected her, the house snores it, she'd defend herself immediately. When people questioned her choices, she'd explain, justify, and overshare. Her house snores it, hoping they'd understand. But over time, she realized that the more she gave of herself to people who did value her, the more drained she became. She was giving away her peace in small doses until one day she woke up feeling empty. That was the day she changed. Now she chooses silence not as avoidance, but as protection. Her house snores it, because silence is not about bottling things up. It's about choosing what deserves her energy and what doesn't. It's about realizing that some words only create more wounds, not solutions. It's about understanding that sometimes the best way to heal is not to speak, but to simply stay still. Think about a moment in your own life when someone tried to push your buttons. Maybe a coworker tried to challenge your integrity. Maybe a friend started spreading gossip. Maybe someone you loved misunderstood your silence and accused you of being distant. Your natural instinct may have been too deep explained, to fight for your image. But what if just for a moment you had paused and chosen silence? That pause, that silence, it's not weakness. It's a declaration that says, house snores it, by don't you access to my peace. This woman understands that. She has trained with herself to before acting. How snores it. She's mastered the art of stepping back before stepping into anything. Her peace is not a luxury, it's a daily decision. Every morning when she wakes up, she chooses what deserves space in her heart and what needs to stay outside her boundaries. And more often than not, she finds that silence is the strongest boundary she can set. She doesn't give the world easy access to her emotions anymore. Her silence is a filter. When people try to trigger her, she doesn't flare up. She pauses, assesses, and often lets the storm pass without her involvement. Her house snores it. She knows her silence frustrates those who want her reaction, but she also knows that silence is a language of power. Her house snores it, and in that silence something magical happens as she grows. She reconnects with herself. Her house snores it. She listens to what her soul is saying rather than what the world is shouting. She begins to hear her inner guidance. The house snores it. Her true voice, the one that's been drowned out by constant noise. You see, when a woman protects her peace, she becomes magnetic. People may not understand her silence, but they feel her strength. The house snores it. They sense that she is not easily swayed, that she doesn't belong to the chaos, that she's grounded, calm, centered. Her house snores it. And that energy, it's unforgettable. It's what makes her presence powerful even when she's not speaking. Her house snores it. It's what makes people respect her even when they disagree with her. The house snores it. It's what makes her stand out not because she demands attention, but because she radiates calm in a world of commotion. Passive. She is not indifferent. She is intentional. She knows when to speak and when to be stilled. She knows when to walk away, not weakness, but out of wisdom. Because she values her peace more than she values being right. Snores it. She values her energy more than she being understood by people who don't even try. So is it. When you see hurt, quiet, don't mistake it for being lost. She is exactly where she needs to be with herself. Is it? Within herself, protecting the most sacred thing she owns, her peace. Is it? And maybe that's something we can all learn from, to not speak just to fill space, to not argue just to feel heard. How's it? To not react just because we can. Maybe it's time we learn the language of silence. Maybe it's time we treat our peace like gold. Because once you learn to protect your peace, you stop chasing validation. A house snores it. You stop giving people free rent in your mind. You stop exhausting your cells that don't feed your soul. In that quiet, you finally find yourself. This is where her power lies, not in how fast she speaks or houses, but in how deeply she listens. In a world where everyone seems to be waiting for their turn to talk, she stands apart. Her house snores it. She leans in not to reply with cleverness, but to receive with openness. She listens not with the intention to correct, else snores it, argue or impress, but to truly understand the heart behind the words. You see, most people here, they don't listen. They catch the words, but miss the emotions. They hear the story, but miss the struggle behind it. But she is different. When you speak to her, you feel seen. Because her attention is not divided. Her mind isn't racing ahead to form a comeback. She is present. And that silence, that stillness, it speaks volumes. Take a moment and think about this. How often do we really listen to the people around us? Not just the words they say, but the meaning behind those words. A house snores it. When a friend says, "I'm tired," do we hear fatigue in their voice? Or are we already preparing our own story about being tired too? When a partner says, "I feel distant," does it? And ask what they are really going through. Or do we get defensive and make it about ourselves? Or a house snores it. This woman, she's learned to listen with her soul. She's not rushing to be right. She's not chasing the final word. A house, very house, snores it. She understands that real connection happens in the quiet spaces, in the gentle nods, in the silence that says it. I hear you. I'm with you. Keep going. She has learned this art from life itself. Does it? Maybe there was a time she wasn't heard. Maybe her own voice was drowned out, dismissed, ignored. How snores it? Maybe she knew what it felt like to speak into a void, to scream silently inside while the word moved on and affected it. And that pain didn't harden her. It softened her. It made her gentle with others. It taught her that sometimes what people need the most is not advice, but simply to be understood. So now, when someone speaks to her, they feel a kind of safety. They don't feel rushed, judged. They feel held emotionally, house it. In a space where understanding is more important than interruption. And that's where healing begins, does it? She listens to her friends when they don't even know how to explain what they are feeling. Her house snores it. She catches the tremble in their voice, the hesitation in their words, the weight behind their silence, holds it. She knows that sometimes a broken heart doesn't speak in sentences, speaks in sighs, pauses, or even tears. Snores it, and she allows that. She respects that. She honors that space. Even in disagreements, she brings this wisdom. She doesn't jump into debate mode. He doesn't try to win. She asks herself, or snores it. What is this person trying to express beneath the anger or frustration? And because she listens, does it? Even conflicts become opportunities to grow a closer drift apart. Her house snores it. There's a quiet confidence in the way she listens. She doesn't need to interrupt to prove her intelligence. She doesn't need to dominate the conversation to feel important, does it? She knows listening deeply is more impactful than speaking loudly. The house snores it. She knows that understanding is not passive, it's powerful. The morning very house snores it. And this is just something she does for others. It's also something she practices within herself. Her house snores it. She listens to her own thoughts without judgment. She gives space to her own emotions without rushing to label them. But she discerns silence and allows her inner world to speak. And in that practice, she develops a kind of emotional clarity that's rare. But she knows when her heart is speaking and when her ego is trying to take over. The house snores it. She listens to the whispers of her intuition, even when the world is shouting other advice. The house snores it. She trusts what she hears in her stillness because she has trained herself present to be just externally, but internally too. And so, whether she's comforting a friend, having a deep conversation with her partner, house snores it, or making a life decision, she moves from understanding, not assumption. She leads with awareness, not anxiety, and because of this, her words, when she finally does speak, carry a rare wisdom. Or snores it. People listen to her not because she talks the most, but because when she does speak, her words come from a place of depth. They come of listening, from observing, from understanding. That is her gift. Her house snores it. And maybe that's the gift we can all develop, to listen not just with ears, but with hearts, to pause before responding. The house snores it, to hold space for someone else's story, to care more about connection than correction, does it? Because when we truly listen to understand, we give the other person a rare and precious thing, snores it, the feeling of being heard. And in a world full of noise, that is one of the most powerful things we can offer. A house snores it. There's something deeply captivating about a woman who doesn't talk, just to be how nervous when her words carry intention, does it? Depth. In at a time where noise is everywhere and people are constantly sharing opinions, thoughts, house snores it, and updates for the sake of being noticed, she chooses differently. Earnings very house snores it. She chooses to value her words like precious pearls offered sparingly, but with immense worth. Earner very house snores it. She understands that speaking is not just about vocalizing sounds, it's about conveying the truth. Your heart snores it. It's about allowing your words to be a mirror of your soul. That's why she's careful, does it? Not cautious from fear, but intentional feel from wisdom. Because she has seen high words can either build or break a house, snores it, soothe or scar, heal or harm. She has witnessed moments where a single word, spoken in haste, ruined something beautiful. And she has also seen how a few kind words, spoken from a place of presence and care, have lifted someone from despair. Or a house snores it. So now she speaks with awareness. She asks herself before opening her mouth, do my words bring light, or will they bring shadows? And when she does speak, people listen, not because she shouts, not because she demands. How's it? Because her silence bespeaking gives, her words weight, her voice is noisy, it is clarity, is calm, is snoring, it is conviction. You can often find her quiet in a room full of noise, not because she has nothing to say, does it? But because she doesn't need to prove anything. She's not here to impress anyone. She's not competing for validation. Her house snores it. When she speaks, it's because her heart feels aligned with the moment. Her house snores it. It's because there's something that needs to be said, not for approval, but for truth. Has. Think about someone you know who has that presence, that rare ability to be still, to watch, to listen, and then how's it? When they finally speak, their words seem to cut chaos like through a beam of light. That's what she has cultivated. Her house snores it. And it's not a personality trait, it's a choice, a practice, disciplines. She has trained herself to wait. Does it? To reflect. To speak only when her words are infused with purpose. She doesn't throw around opinions for attention. Houses. She doesn't gossip to feel connected. She doesn't correct people harshly just to feel smart. Her voice is not a tool for control, it's a channel for clarity. In relationships, this makes her grounding. At her house snores it. She doesn't scream in arguments. She doesn't react to every little trigger. Instead, she processes. She speaks not to win, but connect. Her words don't feel like attacks. The house snores it. They feel like gentle invitations to understanding. And that's why people trust her. The house snores it. That's why people come to her when they are lost, because they know when she speaks, she's not echoing the world. House snores it. She's offering something real. Even in leadership, she carries this power. She doesn't dominate with volume. She leads with presence. In meetings, she may not be the first to talk, but when she does, her words redirect the room. As it? Because her voice doesn't rise to overpower, it rises to inspire. She has also learned that sometimes sword, saying nothing is the most powerful thing she can do. When someone is trying to break her a house, she knows it. He knows as that silence is her strength. When someone wants her to react impulsively, she chooses restraint. Because she knows not every opinion deserves a reply. Not every challenge deserves a response. Not every invitation to case needs an RSVP. Her voice has become a sacred instrument used care, not casually. And she treats conversations like sacred spaces, spaces where hearts are exchanged, where trust is either built or broken. House snores it. And because she honors this, it becomes a safe space for others. When she speaks to you, you feel seen. When she encourages you, you believe her. When she offers advice, the morning's very house snores it. It lands because you know she's not just speaking for the sake of sound. She's speaking with soul. A house snores it. This kind of woman may not be the loudest in the room. She's often the one remembered long after the room empties. But her words linger. Her voice echoes in the hearts of who needed to hear exactly what she said. A house snores it exactly when she said it. And the most beautiful part, her voice isn't perfect. It doesn't always come out polished, but it comes out pure, full of intention. And in a world where so much is rehearsed and filtered, her raw truth is a breath of fresh air. So the next time she opens her mouth to speak, Svera House snores it. Understands not just a conversation, it's a moment. It's an offering. Its purpose wrapped in breath. Os snores it. She speaks not because she has to. She speaks because it matters. And that's what makes her voice unforgettable. The house snores it. Lesson didn't come easily, came through heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment. And has snored countless moments of giving too much to people who gave too little in return. She used to be the kind of woman who wore her heart on her sleeve, who shared her soul too openly, who trusted too quickly, believed too deeply, and gave her time, love, energy. The house knows it. And secrets to people who hadn't earned the right to carry them. She wanted to see the good in everyone. Her house snores it. She believed that being open was the same as being kind. She believed that giving access was equal to building connection. But then life taught her a hard truth. Access is sacred, and not everyone deserves it. There were times when her vulnerability was weaponized, when her honesty was twisted, when people she trusted with her fears, her dreams, and her wounds turned out to be careless with her soul. They took advantage of her openness. They walk away with pieces of her that she hadn't yet learned to protect. A house snores it. And in those painful silences after betrayal, she realized that love doesn't mean giving yourself away without boundaries, does it? Trust doesn't mean offering every corner of your heart without discernment. So she changed. Slowly. Not into someone cold, into someone clear. Not into someone who closes off, into someone who chooses carefully. She realized that her energy was a gift, her time was valuable, her story was sacred, and her presence, her calm, her listening, her insight, her spirit was not something to be offered freely to anyone who happened to be curious. She learned that access is not love, access not kindness. Access is a responsibility, and not everyone is ready to handle it with the care it deserves. She moves differently. A house. She speaks less about what she's going through and more about what she's growing through. She listens more than she explains. She smiles, but not everyone gets to know what's behind that smile. She shows up with warmth, but not everyone gets to stay close to the fire. Because she knows now there's a difference between being kind and being available. A house snores it. There's a difference between being loving and being accessible. She can be compassionate without being consumed. She can support others without sacrificing her own soul. This shift in her energy confused a lot of people. Some call her distant, some said she changed, and they were right, she did. Snores it. But what they didn't see were the nights she cried quietly, realizing she had been pouring to people who never once asked how she was doing. Haros snores it. They didn't see how many times she picked herself up after being drained, emotionally immersed by conversations that only took snore it. They didn't see the years of being overly available at the cost of her own mental peace. She now understands the power of selective sharing, the strength of quiet growth, the dignity in knowing when to stay silent and walk away. Snores it. She no longer explains herself to people who are committed to misunderstanding. She no longer opens her soul to those who gossip in the name of concern. She no longer tries to fix what clearly isn't aligned with her values or energy. Instead, she created something precious, sacred space within herself that only a few are invited into. A place of healing, a house, knows it, of reflection, of peace, and be allowed in. That requires consistency, trust, and time. It requires more than charming words or temporary kindness. It requires presence, truth, and respect. A house snores it. This shift hasn't made her bitter, it's made her bet. It's made her wiser, more intentional, more grounded. She now protects her energy like she protects her home, but with boundaries, with warmth, with locks. Because even the most beautiful place in the world needs doors and walls, not to shut others out, but to preserve what's sacred inside. And so she works with a confidence now. She still loves deeply, but a house snores it. But she doesn't give love recklessly. She still believes in people, but she watches their action more than their words. She still welcomes connection, but she doesn't confuse with obligation. She understands now that you can love someone and still keep them at a distance. You can forgive someone and still remove their access. She is no longer afraid to say, "This is not for me," She's no longer afraid to walk away when peace feels threatened. The house snores it. She's no longer afraid to disappoint others if it means staying true to herself. Her house snores it because she knows that her well-being matters, her growth matters, her soul matters. And if protecting all that means limiting access, then so be it. But a house snores it. Become most powerful version of her is the one who loves herself and enough to choose wisely, who gets to come close, who doesn't.